Hello. So I am incredibly excited about today's video because it is talking about one of my favorite books that I've read in a while. Definitely, I got the advanced reader copy last year, and last year was like my favorite book that I've read. And technically I didn't read it, but it's probably going to be my favorite book that was published this year. And it is by the queen herself, Holly Black, the beautiful, The Cruel Prince. So this is part of the little thing I've got going on my channel, the whole like beauty and brains, if you will, where we've got the makeup look on my face right now, inspired by the book in my hand right now. And then there was interest expressed, so doing little book reviews on the books I do makeup looks off of as well. How many times can I say as well in a sentence? Let's not explore that. But for this makeup look, I will insert clips right now of my makeup look, kind of a little bit closer up so you can see it if you're interested in the tutorial for it. It will be coming very soon, if not already up. But for this video, let's talk about this. So, I have probably driven everyone crazy where I work. I work at a bookstore. I think I've said that before, but I work at a bookstore. And, I talk about this book a lot, and Holly Black is actually coming. She's doing a signing at the bookstore I work at's Mysterious Galaxy, and she is doing a signing there this Friday, so 2 days from now, from when I am shooting. And, if you love dark, twisted fairies, where you should truly fear them if you ever ran across them in real life, and if it was ever a human being you met in real life, you'd be like, they are a straight-up psycho killer. But somehow, in books, with the magic and the darkness and just the quality, you hate them, but you love them way more than you could ever possibly hate them. Well, depending on the character, because there's some characters that you totally just hate. But she is like the queen to me of like dark, twisted fairies. And she has been writing for a long time. She's a very prolific author. So she was writing before YA really became a big thing. She's got a bunch of books, but The Cruel Prince is the first in a new series. Highly recommend you check this boy out, regardless of if you've read her other stuff or not. I also recommend her other stuff to you because it's good. Tithe is probably my other favorite book by her. But yes, so essentially what this book here is about is our main, shall we call her a protagonist? Because I feel like in Holly Black's books it's like, are they really a protagonist? In this one in particular. But our main protagonist is taken and brought up in the fake court. I will not tell you why. It's revealed in like literally the first chapter of the book, but some scenes are better left for you to read and get to discover on your own. So, due to her circumstances, she is brought up in the fairy court as a human. Now, as one would imagine, she is nothing like a fairy. She does not live for X amount of years that they lived. There is, even if she is beautiful, there is a certain beauty to them, that magical je ne sais quoi that she does not have. She doesn't have their magic. She is viewed as lesser by them. So she's brought up in a court that is very like, oh, you're human? You must be my servant or my toy, or insert whatever negative you are beneath me phrase that you would like to. And so it sets up this great thing because this character is not a wilting violet by any stretch. She is tough. And there's this point in the book where I think everyone reaches this in their lives where it's like, how much are you going to take of being treated a certain way? How much are you going to take of people talking to you a certain way? And we all have that like snapping point where we just like, it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and it's like, you can't do it anymore. You can't keep it up. And the choices she makes when that snapping point hits, I love them. But so as far as like a plot, premise, whatnot, it is essentially about her being in the fairy court and getting pulled into a lot of politics. She originally tries to become a knight, and you'll see how that turns out. But it's her trying to find her place in this world that is telling her she really doesn't have a place. And the reason that she's in that world is because another fairy brought her into it. So she's not there because she's just trying to force her way into this world. It's the only world that she knows. And the human world to her is like way more foreign and scary, and she feels like she doesn't belong there at all compared to how much she feels that she belongs in the fairy world. And due to like who her father is, and also due to her nature and just like her aspirations to become something, she's not a character who just wants to sit idly by. She is a character who wants to become something, and due to that she is pulled into the court politics because the king of the fairies in this is dying. So you have all of his children that are trying to get the throne, as scheming, horrible but beautifully cruel fae are wont to do. And it has a really good cast of characters as far as that goes. She has a twin sister as well as an older sister who is half fairy. Then she has a father figure. On top of that, all the different princes are very different. I have my favorite. He is, of course, the younger broken soul who is cruel, but buried underneath all of it, there's gotta be something. Or at least I'm gonna hold on to that hope, because with Holly Black, there could possibly not be something there, but I think that there is. He's my favorite prince right now. And it's just kind of... It's hard because I feel like with a book like this, I'm not the best at giving reviews because I don't want to give you spoilers. But, what can I say without giving you a spoiler? And without tangling my hair up here. This character enters the courts, even though she has been warned not to. And she does very, very dark and twisted things to herself to make herself a success in that court. And she fights for power. She claws. She schemes. She goes toe to toe because she's tired of being treated like crap. And in the book review that I wrote for it, there was a line I put in it that it's I'm not going to remember the exact phrasing, but I believe it's, "Oh, what a twisted thing we become in the attempt to surpass our tormentors." And this is very much a case of that, where to beat those who have beaten her down, she becomes a little bit of a monster herself. So, it's so good. It's just so good. So I'm going to go ahead and read you the inside of the book, which will give you a little bit more of a concise breakdown, if you will. And yeah. So on the back of it, it says, "Sharpen your blade, harden your heart." This is a line from the book. "Of course I want to be like them. They're beautiful as blades forged in some divine fire. They will live forever. And Cardan is the prince that I like, is even more beautiful than the rest. I hate him more than all the others. I hate him so much that sometimes when I look at him, I can hardly breathe." And this isn't, I know people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, typical love story." She does not do that to you, which I love. Like, maybe something could happen between them, maybe not. But this first book is not, it doesn't have insta-romance in it. It maybe has, some potential smoldering, some embers that could turn into something really good. So it's more of a subtle weaving of things that could happen, but this doesn't have like an insta-romance where they hate each other. Boom! Oh my god, they're together. That doesn't happen in this. And then, let's see. And Leigh Bardugo says, "Lush, dangerous, a dark jewel of a book. This delicious story will seduce you." Oh, and it so does. There's a certain magic about this book in which every single time I put it down, all I can think about is, when can I go back and be reading it again? And I think I read it in 2 days for the sheer fact that I had to go to work. Otherwise, it would have been in 1 day because I didn't want to stop reading it. I loved it. And I was talking to... Leigh Bardugo did a signing last year at the bookstore, and I was talking to her because I had read it, and I was like, the only thing about this book that made me mad was that I didn't have book number 2 to read right after finishing this one. And it that's not to say it ends on a cliffhanger that will have you, mad or anything. It leaves you at a good stopping point. But it's just so freaking good, you want to keep reading more. And Bardugo said that she had already read the second book in the series, and she's like, it's even more twisted, even more, crazy awesome things happen. So I'm like, when will we get our hands on the second one? Megan Whalen Turner, who wrote the Thief series, another book that I absolutely love, she says, all that glitters is deadly in Holly Black's fairy world. Readers will be positively entranced. Could not agree more with that. Ooh, and this is a good one for those of you that have not read Holly Black. I like this one that they put. Raise your hand if you've never had the good fortune to read one of Holly Black's mordant, intoxicating, ruthlessly twisty novels of manners, family, and magic. Now keep your hand raised until I come and find you, and we can have a conversation about how much you're going to love The Cruel Prince. I'll be there as soon as I can. Ooh! I love that quote. That was a really good one from her. And I will read you the inside desk jacket. And that will be it. And I will just urge you again and again and again to go freaking read this book because, dear Lord, oh, it's just so good. It's just so good. So this is what the inside says. Guard your mortal heart. Jude was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous High Court of Fairy. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong there, despite her mortality. But many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Carden, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win a place at the court, she must defy him and face the consequences. As Jude becomes more deeply embroiled in palace intrigues and deceptions, she discovers her own capacity for trickery and bloodshed. But as betrayal threatens to drown the courts of fairy and violence, Jude will need to risk her life in a dangerous alliance to save her sisters and fairy itself. From #1 New York Times bestselling author Holly Black comes the first book in a stunning new trilogy filled with twists and enchantment as one girl learns the meaning of true power when she finds herself caught in a web of royal fairy intrigue. Oh, sorry, I butchered reading through that. But, oh, sorry, reading that too also reminded me, there's this one scene where you're like, no, she's not going to do it, she's not going to do it, and she does it, and you're just like, oh my gosh, she did it, but Ooh, read this book. I'm going to be saying that probably about all the books that I do for this, because I really only want to put books that I like. I'm not here to give you, like, negative reviews about books, and I obviously like makeup a lot, so doing this series for me with books and makeup, it's really just about books that I love, so I'll be very emphatic probably about all of them, but read it. Read it, read it, read it. Do yourself the favor and read it. But with that being said, I hope that you are having a good day, night, evening, wherever you are, and goodbye.